Welcome to another episode of the Modern Father Podcast, episode 14. I have Marcus, yours truly, and I'm accompanied by my partner in crime, the Chauncey Billups of podcasting, Benji. How you doing?
I like Chauncey. That's cool. I like Chauncey.
Hell yeah.
The kids call me Balls all day anyway, so that might work. You know, they're like, man, she got a big ass forehead.
It's not that bad, man. No, I've seen worse. I've seen people, like, especially with my forehead, like the way the cul-de-sac started coming in, I had to definitely, peel my shit all the way back because, yeah, man, it's brutal. But, dudes, what's good with the knee? Tell me a little story about your daughter.
My daughter, I'll start with my daughter. She has been a brat for the last 2 days. Mm-hmm. Refusing to nap, driving her mother crazy. I come home from work and she's wide-eyed. We call it, we have the witching hour. So at 6 o'clock every day, it's just a full-on scream fest. You would think she is like the hacksaw butcher murderers walking around here. And she is going ballistic. And it's because she is extremely tired and fighting her sleep. And it's been very exhausting. So coming home from work all day, like if I have PT, so it's like today, right? For instance, I had physical therapy at 7 a.m. I'm there from 7 a.m. to about 8. I get to school. I'm driving to my school. I'm like 3 minutes away. One of my partners texts me, like, oh, I need to speak to you about all these things and need to catch you up on. I was like, shit, the day hasn't even started. So I walk into garbage and a task list already. Kids start, we go through the day. I'm averaging like 12,000 steps, limping steps throughout the day. We end up having a fight today. Ridiculous. I mean, that wasn't too bad because I didn't have to break it up. Our PE sub broke it up, got popped in the head. But he was cool. He said, I'm coming back tomorrow. He's like, I'm coming back. I was like, all right, well, I appreciate that. Talking to parents, filling out all the documents that I gotta do. Come home, and this little girl has not slept all day. And she's just screaming and crying and just being totally resistant to wanting to nap. I was telling my wife, this is like, I've noticed she was doing this when I left for work after paternity leave. And now she's kind of back to doing it again after I just had spring break. So I don't know if it's throwing her off of like how much time like she's used to having both parents around, maybe if she's picking up on that. I have no idea what it is. I mean, she's being fed on time. She is we're changing her diapers, obviously. We're carrying her, and she is not giving up. So like that's where we're at right now, trying to figure out this little hump. But yeah, 6 o'clock every day, dude. We're like, look at each other. We're like, oh damn, here comes the witching hour. Like, is she gonna? We gotta put her down. Like, that's the goal, to get her into like a little evening nap around 6 to about 7:30, and then wake her up and shower her and bathe her, feed her again, and get her back into bed. Last night was kind of rough. She was up every hour. Every hour she was just like, that. And I was like, geez, like she hasn't done that in a long time. So to revert to that was it was exhausting, man, having this long day. But she's more cute. She's getting more and more adorable because like the personality actually is starting to come out. So she's responding more cooing, more smiling. And when she does nap, she like curls up and it's real adorable. But then right now, she's just like the Exorcist. Like her head's just spinning and she's spitting up milk. And she's just like, ah. And she loves to throw her middle fingers up. So she's just like, ah.
Sounds like her dad.
Oh my God. I'm like, girl, what is wrong with you? Like, what are we doing to you that is so bad right now? So I'm just hoping she's going through a little phase and she gets over it. I don't know what it is. Did you experience that?
Oh yeah.
Many times?
Oh yeah.
Did you ever figure out what it was, or did you just pass?
It just passes, man. It goes away. It's like it goes in waves, and I think when we started like to sleep train him and actually get him into like a routine, it's like, okay, like around 6-8 o'clock, that's when bedtime is. That's when things started to normalize for him. But like it started to first 2-3 months. We had some nights where, man, I was up until like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, you know, and like I would give long term that grace because she had to go to work in the morning, and luckily, you know, we have a stay-at-home parent that can just like survive the nights. You know, I couldn't imagine like having to, you know, do the marathon at nighttime and then resurrect and go into school and then deal with more people's kids, you know, like, that aren't even your own. So you're not even like, you're like, damn, man, these kids aren't even my own. Like, you know, not really F these kids, but you know what I mean? Like,
my tolerance is a lot. I'm not as loving as I used to be when I didn't have my own.
It's exactly. So like, and then you're dealing with fights, you're dealing with all that stuff. So like, I think you're already irritable and cranky because like of the night you already had. Because so what I found too, like when I worked was during that nighttime, like that's your time, but like you still have to take care of the baby. So dude, I would put on like a TV show, and I would sit there and like, if I'm gonna be up, I'm gonna make the most out of these times. So I remember I like banged out The Wire. Second month, I banged out the whole series of The Wire, and then I started watching what else? I started watching Bosch on Amazon Prime. So like, just banging out TV shows, bro, left and right. And then so finally he started getting into routine, but then he got used to sleeping in my arms. So then I couldn't put him down. So like it created another monster. But like once it just time will mend all that stuff, and like as she grows, she's gonna get so much better.
That's where we're at. She will not nap outside of people's arms. Mm-hmm. And like things I've read, it was like, don't really worry about that until 3 months. Once she hits 3 months, like the goal is to get her to go to sleep. Mm-hmm. Right? Like we're like, it kind of like you said, it's a pain and it's exhausting because like she'll nap in your arms, but the goal is to really just get her to go to sleep. And then after 3 months, now you could start to, you know, force her to sleep in a napping position. Mm-hmm. And kind of wait her out and let her, you know, let her fuss a little bit more. But, you know, it takes a while because you're still building that relationship.
You know, it definitely does take a while too. And then plus, like, what I noticed about my son is that he got more comfortable sleeping on his own than sleeping in my arms. Like it got to the point where it's just like, dude, get off me, you know? Like he starts like fighting off you and stuff, starts elbowing you, and then I was like, dude, let me just put you down. And then like he found his own rhythm of like how he wants to sleep. And I think when he started sleeping up on his belly and was like, we were like, oh, he's not choking, that's when all that stopped. All of that just went to a halt because he found his own comfort zone. And it was like, hey, I'm gonna sleep on my belly, I'm gonna turn my head to the side, like just watch me. And it turned out to be really, really well.
What month was that?
That was around 3.5, 4 months. Yeah, it was. So you have a little time. You have a little time before the comfort zone.
I mean, we got 2 weeks into 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to it. But
figure it out.
She's adorable, man. Like when I'm holding her, I was like, I melt now. Like I don't know. Last week it was different. I was home for the whole week for break. And I was carrying her, and like she was taking a nap, and she does this little thing where she like moves her head like a little animal and shit, right? She just like cuddles up and knock out, and her little adorable face. And I was like, just looking at her, I was like, you little shit, I love you so much. Flicking everyone off.
She'll grow right out of it, man. Like you have nothing to worry about. But at the same time, dude, love those moments because then like now I have like a little like, you know, screamo, like he's like a rock metal band dude, just like like you hear that all day long. I went to a restaurant the other day with my boy Tony. We had some like Mexican food and we were just talking about just business and just chopping it up. Just he's like my new buddy of mine, really cool guy. And dude, whenever he wants to leave a place, my son, he'll just belt out like the loudest scream in the world. Like he's just done. So he'll sit there for like 40 minutes, listen to you talk, and then just and like everybody would just look over, and I'm just like, all right, it's time to go, buddy. I feel you. So like he lets me know, but like he's patient. But you know, like it's just the screaming is what it is, and trust me, like your little one's gonna have like a little voice too.
You know what you should try, and I don't know if I've told you this before. You should get a specific toy that he's only allowed to use when you're out in public places.
Oh yeah. Oh, we have that already. Oh okay. Yeah, we do.
So yeah,
it's just like this little octopus. I call it the octopus. It's like the ones where you pull the strings through the toy, and you pull the other strings. So he sits there and he holds that, and he sits there and just fiddles with it and plays with it. But most of the time, he's giving out like eye contact to like whoever I'm talking to, and then just listening. And like then he's just like has this little fidget and he plays with it, but he's listening so intently. And then like after an hour, he gets bored. He's just like, all right, enough of this. You know,
but he bought that time. So parents out there, make sure you have a toy that is only for when you go out to public places. So they don't have access to it at home. They don't have access to it when you drop them off at grandma's for babysitting or whoever. This is for like when you go out to eat, you go out to dinner, you have this novelty toy that they only get for that specific time, so they don't get bored with it so easily, because again, it's a novelty because you don't get it as much, and that will help buy you some time.
Just a tip from we just send out our new segment. Just a tip. enough of that. Hey, before we get started, be on the lookout for our YouTube shorts. I posted a YouTube short for the first time last night. It was about it was about the open relationships. And so if you get a chance to, it got a few hits last night. I'm actually very proud of it. We got 15 hits in like a course of like 15 hours. So hey man, let's go. Modern Father Scenarios, Volume 2. Here we go. Last time, Modern Father Scenarios was a huge hit. It's actually our third largest video. And we're going to repeat the sequence again before we get into our main event. But if you guys want to chime in on the comment section, please leave a comment. Start leaving some comments, people. I want some comments. I want some discourse out in our comment section. Or email us at halftimenaptimepod@gmail.com. There we go. That's how I find the email right. Now, your neighbors invite you over to their house. You're on a walk and you just meet your neighbors. So your kids, they hit it off with the neighbors' kids. They're good friends and they play outside and so whatever. So then after a few months, they decide to invite you over to their house, right? Upon going to their house for dinner, you're like, hey, can I use the restroom? They point you to the restroom, boom, boom, boom. You walk by their room and you notice like some crazy, strange stuff. Like BDSM, like the swing, whips and chains, and then you see the camera there, and then you're like, oh crap, my neighbors do OnlyFans. What do you do in this situation?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna look up their account. I just want to see what kind of things y'all talking about. I'm just curious. I may not pay for it, but I'm gonna read the description. I want to see what kind of stuff y'all into. I mean, honestly, that to all its own, bro. That's what y'all do to get money. I want to just make sure there's no freakiness happening with minors. That's what I want to make sure about. If that's what you and your partner are doing, your spouse are doing, and it's paying your bills, it is not my business. You know what I mean? I'm not there to judge you on how you make your money. I'm judging you based on how you're treating me, how you're treating my children, my family, how you are showing yourself in the community, what type of person you are. I'm from Chicago, bro. I've hung out with murderers, you know what I mean? So how am I going to judge of somebody doing OnlyFans? And I know people who caught bodies and, who've done things they're not supposed to be doing. That would be very unfair of me if they are choosing to put themselves out there, right? Like, they run that risk of their kids finding out or other kids finding out, and jokes galore coming out of that after that. But yeah, I it wouldn't bother me too much, but I'm definitely reading that description. Read the description, don't pay for the subscription, you know what I mean?
Okay, rock him. I like your rap. I like your rap. You see the cane go in the chain. Yeah. You got the cane. You got the cane, Slick Rick. Yeah. I was thinking about this because I was on the fence with them because, like, man, like at the end of the day, like whatever you do behind closed doors, whatever you do behind closed doors, I just don't want like my kid to be sexualized at a young age. So, like, say for instance, like, right, they have a sleepover, right? And then, like, you know, you come back and, like, he's like, Mommy, Daddy, you know, like, you know, what's a penis, you know, or like, you know, like, what's a vagina, or like, you know, what if they're saying like other words, or like, what if they see something? Okay, a perfect example of this, right? I used to go over to my buddy's house, and his mom was a single mom, and I know there used to be dudes that were, you know, that she would date, would go in and out of the house, and she would sleep topless, right? So like when you go up late, you know, to get some water or whatever, you walk past the room, and then like boom, you see like, you know, an older woman's, you know, boobs and everything. You see breasts and this. I was like, what, like 9, 10 when was this happening? I mean, I don't know how that shaped my life. I don't know how that changed me, but at the same time, I was seeing, you know, breast at that age.
Yo,
you know what I mean?
Get water every 10 minutes and shit.
Hell yeah, man! I was in and out. You know, we could talk about it too. Like, yo, man, like you don't want to say, you don't talk about to the homie. You know, like, man, I saw your mom's boobs and stuff like that. But hey, like, you know, you're walking back and forth just to see what's up. You know, so like. That's what I'm talking about. To be sexualized at a young age, you know, like, or like I would go to my boy Jeremy's house, and then like I would grab his, you know, his stash, his dad's stash, and he had like some funny videos, you know, and he had one of them that just would traumatize me for like my whole life. Like I still remember that video, man. I'm not gonna go into details. We'll go off air about it, but like I'm not gonna go into details of the cast, but like that kind of stuff will mess your head up, you know, sexually. And then all of a sudden you think that like, oh, like all of this is like this at a young age. Like, oh, like, you know, maybe I could go see like my friend's boobs now, you know, and stuff like that. So I just would worry about that. But overall, like, it is not my business, but I would just make sure that, like, I'd have a conversation. I'd be like, hey, listen,
yeah,
like,
for sure.
Yeah, you know, like, hey, like you, I know you guys are doing this for a living. I know this is how you make your paper. I don't want to knock your hustle, but are you making sure that, you know, your kid and my kid are not going to be, you know, intertwined in all of this?
And one other thing too is we're not big on sleepovers. I don't think I'm going to allow my children to spend the night at their friend's house. I don't think that's going to be a thing.
Well, why not?
I just know, like, my wife growing up, she was never allowed. She didn't spend the night at no one's house. I know when I spent the night at people's houses, that's when I got into the most shit I shouldn't have been doing.
I'll tell you what.
So I probably will not take that risk with my own children, just because, yeah, I don't think that's gonna be a thing. I mean, for sure, right now when I'm looking like with my daughter, that's not gonna be a thing.
What if she's just like adamant, like, hey, like I'm just having a makeup party with like, you know, like a couple of the girls, like, you know, and like, you know, the parents really, really well, and like you're gonna say no to that?
Spending the night? You don't need you're not doing makeup at midnight.
Well, I know, but honestly, they do that during the day, and then like they transition during the nighttime. So you say no to that?
Yeah, it's gonna be very hard for me to allow sleepovers.
Would you say that you would host the sleepover?
I wouldn't mind hosting. It wouldn't be my favorite thing to do because that's a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work having other people's kids in your house and shit. I have to really know these kids, bro, because like kids are just like I said, they're just trying to find ways to do shit, to do stuff they're not supposed to do. So I don't see, like when I was younger, the only places I really spent the night at were like my godparents' house. My boy Zach from kindergarten, like we met in kindergarten, and I think the first time I spent the night at his house, we were like in 4th grade. And I think it's also double standard. I'm a boy. Like I don't remember my sister going out to anyone's house until she got into like high school, and she would go like spend the night at her homegirl's house.
Dude, my sister would be all over the place, man. My sister used to go to her homegirl's house. And my dad was just like, my mom and dad just go away. I'd be at my homeboy Zach's house, eating all of his food at Scott's house.
Yeah, no, I mean when I was older too, like when I was like from, I don't know, maybe 7th grade, 8th grade on, like, but I was never home. But I don't want that experience for my kids. Like I said, that's when I started doing shit I shouldn't have been doing.
Yes.
That's where I started. I started being more exposed to shit that I shouldn't have been to when I was staying at other friends' house, and like, then their cousins would come over, or like, you know, their mom or dad were just a lot chiller, I grew up with my grandmother, right? So I didn't have all this shit in the house. I would get exposed to it more at other folks' house.
And that was me too, because my parents kept like all rap music out of the house. They kept.
I wasn't like that, but I'm talking
bad
like
video games. Oh, that's how my household was.
Talking about like alcohol and finding weed.
Oh yeah. Alcohol and weed for me was out about the homies. But like what I'm saying is though, like there's gonna be a point where your daughter is going to like snap on you. Like it's like, hey, like I can't be able to do this, and she's not gonna understand like the why that's happening. You know how kids are, man. You know how kids like.
Man, she can snap, crackle, and pop all she fucking wants. I don't give a damn.
She gonna hate you.
I don't give a damn. You can do all that. You can stomp your feet.
I got that. That's amazing what you just said right there.
You know what I mean? Come on now. That shit don't faze me, man. Go sit your little goofy ass down. If I send you to your great grandma's house with no teeth, you can go stay with her. She got no cable. She got no Wi-Fi. You can stay with her. That's what you want to do.
Going back to the dark ages.
I think she'll be. I mean, I think she'll have seen the comparison to the rest of the women in her mother's side of the family. I mean, my family's really not that big, and I'm not super close with my family like that, so I don't really see them. But I'm like, even my female cousins, like I don't remember them really being at their friend's house like that. And I know for sure, my wife's side, the women in the family, they don't spend it. Even the boys, they don't spend the night at each other's house, or
right.
they spend the night at each other's house. There's so many cousins. They're going to each other's houses. That's a pretty normal thing.
That's what I got in most trouble with is around my cousins, because they were older dudes. That's why they were in trouble. But yeah, like, I think the conversation just needs to be had. Just like, hey, just how you go about respecting yourself, and especially the decisions that you make by yourself reflect the parenting that we are doing on you right now. That's the way I would go at it with my son, and just make sure that like you're constantly representing the family, whether you're in the house or out of the house, or my eyes are on or off you. So you're a constant reflection of how me and long term are raising you. So honor the family, honor your last name. Don't be a dick on her. And
I want my kid to be busy. So if I was more busy, I wouldn't be spending the night at people's cribs doing bad shit. You know what I mean? I wasn't involved in much. As I got older, I dropped everything. Everything was just like whatever. You know?
A lot of the spending the night for me was sports related, because I played on sports teams with them. So like if we had like a tournament in the morning, and I knew it was like a certain parent like, you know, was like on duty, because we had like switched off like weekends and stuff, like, hey, I'll pick you up and then I'll take care of the kid for the, you know, this tournament, whatever. Then I would spend the night at like, you know, their houses for like a tournament, and then we'll drive to wherever we need to go, whether it be like Los Angeles, you know, Riverside, or wherever we need to go, and then we'll just come back up, and then like, you know, whatever it was next week, then it was like, all right, it's your turn. So we had people in at the house all the time. My dad
all my
hated
shit
it.
was bad shit, bro. We just did bad shit. We all quit sports at the same time, and we hit the streets. We was like, fuck them uniforms.
Chicago, Chi-Town.
Yeah, it was like, nah, we outside.
How about that? Your 17-year-old daughter went to a party and drove home drunk. Around 1 a.m., you hear a crash down the street from your house. It was your daughter. You run to the scene to find her car wrapped around a phone pole, but she's okay. But she has like, you know, lacerations, you know, she's bruised up. The cops are on the way. What do?
I'm not taking that charge for her. That's not happening. I'm not taking that charge for her, because then we all gonna lose. Because I lose my whole career with something like that. So, unfortunately, I'm not in a position where I can afford to take that charge for her. I mean, she's gonna have to. It's gonna suck, bro, because she's gonna have to woman up, and she's gonna learn how to be a woman right then and there. Because she's gonna have to take them charges and go through that whole. I'll help her with a lawyer, of course. That's my daughter, and see, you know, probably try to get the best lawyer I can, for whatever, you know, however that's gonna cost. But I mean, she's gonna have to pay the piper. Like, there's nothing I can do at that point. If you're driving, you're intoxicated, you're making this choice. By the time you've been doing all this, I've already told you, like, the dangers that can come with drinking and driving. And she's gonna have to deal with those consequences. She's gonna have to deal with it, and it's gonna be hard, because obviously as a father I want to protect her. I don't want nothing bad to happen to her. I understand the repercussions for this decision, because, you know, you're looking at a revoked license. If she didn't hit anybody, that's great, but you're still gonna have a DUI on your record. You're underage, so you're not going to be able to drive probably until you're 21 at minimum. It would be very disappointing, because that can, like, something like that keep you out of college, if that's the route that she was headed to. You're looking at the potential physical harm, right? Like, even though she just has bruises, but she probably had whiplash that can impact her brain, that can have long-term effects on her, traumatic experience. She can have, you know, like, just nightmares and night tremors from, you know, experiencing that collision. My daughter she's gonna have a rude awakening that day, because I tell my students, like, I'm here to help you as much as I can, but there will be a day where I'm not there to help you, because the decisions on where you're headed to next is out of my control. Right? And I try to instill this into my students, because I do try to look out for them on a regular basis. But I tell them, there's going to be a day where I'm not there, or I'm not the person responsible for the consequence of your action. So my consequences are not always going to be something punitive, where I'm trying to push you away. I want you to learn, but I can only do so much, because there'll be a day where it's not me and it's a police officer, or it's now you're in high school and it's your high school assistant principal, or, you know, or whatever, a principal who is dealing with you at that time. So with my daughter, it's the same thing. At that point, the law got you, right? Your decision got you to now look at the law, and they have the overriding power over, regardless of what I want or what I say. Because, like I said, I'm not taking that charge. I'm not going to sit there and pretend like I was the one driving. That's not happening, because then we're all screwed.
This is a real life scenario that happened years back in, I think, like 2005, I think 2006, to one of my good friends. And we had a, like, party like near my house, right? Like, and we were drinking E&J. That's how old school it was, E&J brandy. And he drove home, and I get a call from my other buddy, and he's like, "Oh man, like, dude, like, he crashed his whip, and like, it's wrapped around a pole." So it turns out what happened was his mom and dad, they heard the commotion. They ran outside. They told him to get into the house, just run in the house, get cleaned up, take a shower, as because he was all like, he's all banged up and like all bruised up and everything. Run in the house, go take a shower. Dude, mom was like, "Hey, I was driving." Told the cops, "Hey, I was driving." And so the cops, I know, like looking back at this, like just having my perceptive hat on, I think the cops definitely knew that she wasn't driving, because like the way that car was, and I even saw the car, like it was totaled, like they took pictures of it and everything. The thing was totaled. Like you would have been bruised up, you would have like you said, whiplash. You would have the airbag would have like bruised your face. Like you would have gotten so many marks and damages. So the cops knew already what it was. But they were like, "All right, like we see what you're trying to do. We see you have a young man who's like never had like any kind of like legal troubles. Like this guy's like he's at the university. Like the guy's a good kid, So the cops actually went lenient on him and was like, "All right, we'll just charge you with what do they call it? Like reckless driving, charge, and we'll move on from this." So like,
is he
Escondido police? It's crazy. What's up?
Is he white?
No, that's the thing. Hispanic.
I was just curious.
Hispanic, and this the community that I lived in was predominantly Hispanic. So, and they let him off with this. So like it was a crazy event, and actually I think that saved his future. You know what I mean? Like so, like now moving forward, like he would have got booted, like you said, booted out of the university. Like he'd been able to drive, the fines, the fees. All crazy stuff that would have mounted up on him, but all because of his family's quick thinking, he was able to avoid that. Now, throwing myself in that situation, I don't know what I would do. I still I think about this, and I'm like, man, like what would I have done in that situation? Because I'm black. I ain't happening to me. They're throwing the book at me. He's like, "Hey, whoever was in this wheels, we're gonna find out. We're gonna go through your home. We're gonna do this. And we're gonna charge you like for this light post or only that. They're gonna throw the whole book at me." So I think I probably would have been like, "Bro, like you're gonna have to eat this, man. Like, this is your responsibility. You did this, and like you know better. And I know. I've told you to." Nowadays, in 2005, there was no Uber, there was none of that. But like, you can call me at any situation. I don't care how blackout you are. You could be like done dotted. I will still come pick you up. I'll give you a little bit of what I got to say. Like, man, it's 12 o'clock in the morning. Like, what are you doing? But like, that. But like at the same time, I'm talking a gang of shit. Like, you're gonna hear my voice for sure. But at the same time, I know you're safe. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, "Hey, man, like I know you're safe. I know you got home. Like you're home okay. But I'm gonna give you some shit." He got lucky, man. He got really lucky. I'm glad you went over the scenario, because like, I definitely would do the same thing. Like you said, just like, you gotta eat this. You're gonna eat this, because like I installed way too much into you for you to even do this. You're an idiot.
Yeah, I'm not sitting there and like pretending that I'm on the ground for you and just like, oh. And that mom was all like, "¿Qué pasó?" Like, "Oh hell no, man."
¿Qué onda?
¿Qué onda, officer? No, come on, lady. I know damn well you weren't driving, man. You still got your pajamas on and shit. Get out of here. She just walked out with no scratches, no bruising, no nothing, no tremor, no shock in her face. Come on, bro. I would have gave her an extra ticket just for being an idiot and trying that on me, thinking I'm stupid.
I'm rolling up in the house if I'm the police.
All right, and the son comes out. Oh, what happened? He's like bleeding out of the side of his head.
Oh, he was pretty bruised up, man.
I bet.
It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. All right, last scenario before we get into Top G. Your wife's best friend is having problems picking a sperm donor from the bank. She's a very picky person and is looking for the exact donor. She asks your wife to see if you can be the specimen, the sperm donor specimen Your wife says yes. Now you guys all go out to dinner, and she's like, I will offer you $20K right now, Cash App, check, however you need the money, for you to be a sperm donor for me. What would you say to that?
I think I'm gonna have to pass. The $20,000 is nice. It's cool. I think emotionally it would do some damage to me. I don't think I can be okay with knowing a kid is half mine, and I have to pretend like it's not. Because if this is like my wife's friend, that means she's a part of our life, right? Our regular life. She asked my wife for permission to have this. But for me, that would be a weird conflict of interest. Because I don't think I can. I love children, right? Like kids are that's my jam, bro. Like I work with kids. I've since I was 18 years old. So to know that I have a kid there, and I have to like pretend that it's not my kid, or explain to them how you're made from my semen, but I don't have any parenting rights for you. I don't have anything to do with you. But you look just like me. You live 3 blocks away. Right? And you come over for fucking friends dinners and friendsgiving and all that shit. But I'm just your big homie. Like that's weird. Like I couldn't do it. I'm not interested, and $20,000 is nice, but it's not going to change my life, and I'm not hurting. So unless I was in a situation where I really needed that, like example, like my daughter hits a light pole and I gotta pay for an attorney to clear her DUI, maybe we'll consider it. But other than that, like I'm not feeling that. I think believe it or not, I'm an emotional person, so I believe like that would have a pull on my heart, and I wouldn't know how to navigate that relationship in a healthy way moving forward.
You don't want the homegirl to come over and he's like, hi, Dad Benji.
Like nah, like hey Sunview, like what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like what's up, Sunview? Like that's if you're gonna do a sperm donor, like you gotta be someone you ain't never gonna see again.
Right. I just think it's kind of weird that it's in this scenario that she would want it with you. You know what I mean? So like that's just kind of like it's weird to see you out like that's like, man, like we've hung out, we've been friends for years, through your wife. How come you want to choose me out of all the people in the world? And I know you're having problems picking people, but why are you so fixated on me? And that would kind of make me like a little bit weird. I think even asking that question would probably like want me to end the relationship. I would probably go home and I'd probably say no right there at the table, and then go home and be like, hey man, you better check your friend, man. Like what's up with your friend? You know what I mean? Because that's like one of those things that could happen. Is like where if you two have like marital problems, then like she'll come and like be the swoop in, and try to pick up like the scraps, like kind of deal, and then try to make a baby with you, like that kind of deal. It's just kind of creepy to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that like where'd you get that scenario from?
That's my head right there. That's my mind over there playing tricks on me right there, dude. Like that's like I come up with these especially modern day scenarios. Like some of these are like either like the last one really happened in my life, or they're like something that like I'll think about. Like, yeah, what if this happened? Like, what if this? I should be like a novelist. I'd be like a great like little writer and write these like titillating stories. I have all the moms and all like the 40-year-old women just love reading my shit.
And I'm gonna read that shit. Like them
books. Dude, best times, dude. Like it's like Tyler Perry and shit.
Was that directing. Dude? That white dude that he was like on the butter commercials, but he was like on books and shit. on the horse with long Fabio.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Be me, but just ball headed
With a toupee
on
on.
a horse.
With a Georgia
roll showing.
toupee.
I look good with the toupee though, like that little comb over one, this like that little brush over.
Nah,
that look awesome. But yeah, I think we're both in agreement though. Like, dude, I'm staying far away from.
That'd be weird.
That's super weird. That's super weird. No.
Like I know people who've done it for like, and I thought this was weird. Like, two friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just, like I said, that emotional knowing that that's my kid, but it's not my kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like doing it for a friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, I got a twist on this.
Okay.
What if your long-term friend wanted your long-term to be her surrogate?
Oh, hell no.
And she would pay $20,000 for her to carry the baby and have the baby for her.
No, so like the long sir wants me to get like the vasectomy. She wants like nothing to do with carrying another thing, and plus like, well, actually, you know what? I don't think that's my decision. I would put my 2 cents in. I'd be like, no, it's dumb because especially it's gonna take you out of work. Like, so then you're starting thinking about like, all right, like, you know, like what are we gonna do? Like, you know, around 9 months, what are we gonna do post term? Like, can you handle that with all your workload? Like, is it gonna mess with our money? Even if we're getting a 20K out of it or 10K or whatever you said, like, it's not worth it. And I don't think it's worth it for her to like dysmorph her body, you know, for that person. It's like, just dude, why don't you go pay some other like young like 22-year-old who's like not gonna have any birth complications? You know what I mean? Like, cause like around like 30, like is it like 35 and up? Like you can have like chances for like birth complications. Yeah. So go find like a fresh 22-year-old at the junior college, go pull up there. And then go find her. And I know, like, she would love to carry her baby for like $20. You know, for $20, for 20K. You know, $20. Here's Applebee's gift card. Here, go ahead and carry my baby. Yeah, man, that's crazy. I like that little twist, but hell no. What would you do? Would you say anything about that?
No, I'm good. I mean, at this stage in my life, like you said, we're not old yet, but I mean, we're trying to have, you know, eventually we'll get to the point where we have our second child, and I mean, after that, we're done, bro. Like,
right. I'm
going under. I'm trying to get snipped up.
Snipped up, so I can chill at the club.
So yeah. Again, obviously, I don't think my wife would want to do that, but it was just something I just thought of in the moment.
Right. There you go. See, now you're about to be a best-selling author. Use that imagination. I don't think the kids is the only using imagination nowadays. They got their phone and their phone's imagination, watching TikToks. Main event of the evening: Andrew Tate. The highly publicized. Everybody talks about him from a masculinity perspective. He's just got jammed up for allegations of kidnapping. I think that it was like rape, holding people against their will. Just, you know, that kind of stuff during his webcam. He used to have like webcam days. So he got released. Him and his brother. Kids, how they consume the internet. Is Andrew Tate bad for kids?
Mostly yes. For the simple fact that kids take everything for face value. So they see him with money and the cars, and you know, he shows girls. He doesn't really show too many women in his videos, but he talks about women. He talks about, you know, kind of the lifestyle he lives. So kids take that for face value.